Just 4 days from Christmas, and Christmas comes a bit early for the Baylor Bear fans coming through the turnstiles. Free holiday shirts. Looking sharp, fellas. And even the cheerleaders getting in the spirit as well. From the Farrell Center in Waco, Texas, as the Oregon Ducks out of the Pac-12 visit the Big 12's Baylor Bears. Season's greetings from Waco, along with Fran Fraschilla. I'm Mark Neely. Great holiday tie, by the way, with the candy cane. Nicely done, partner.
Thank you.
Looking for a fun one tonight between a couple of programs. Oregon, not even 2 years removed from a Final Four. You got Baylor, 4 Sweet 16s in the last 9 years. Both schools used to success in the NCAA tournament, but both have hit some speed bumps this year.
Two really young teams this year, each of them with an opportunity before Christmas to get a quality win. Somebody's going to have a Merry Christmas, and somebody else is going to feel like they have a little coal in their stockings.
So for Tristan Clark, no coal in his shot. Nobody's shooting better from the field right now in the nation.
One of the underrated players in the country right now, only a sophomore, and he's got hands as large as an infielder's baseball glove.
They are extremely large. I got a feeling we'll get a chance to check that out a little bit later. That's a tease, and we are underway. Oregon wearing road green, and Baylor in the fluorescent lime, so to speak.
You got your sunglasses?
I do. We need them indoors tonight.
Zone defense by Baylor. Remember that Oregon also plays zone, so both of these teams should be able to have a game plan, if you will, versus zone.
7 on the shot clock. Pritchard, the point guard. Nice pass down low, and from the short corner, missed by Paul White.
Big thing for Baylor is how do they get the ball inside to Tristan Clark?
That ball deflected. Here comes Pritchard. He wants to take it to the rim and skies it off the glass for the game's first points.
When you look at this Oregon team, Peyton Pritchard is as experienced as anybody. He started on the Final Four team as a freshman. It's important for him to play well. Remember, no Bowl tonight. 20 points, 10 rebounds. So that's a big loss for Dana Altman.
Third consecutive game without Bowl. Trying to get it down low to Vital. Another turnover committed by the Bears. Here comes Pritchard again with that left hand. Off the mark. Kegler finds Makai Mason.
Mason, a Yale transfer, who is playing hurt, in my opinion. Doesn't have the same explosiveness that we're used to seeing.
Pass down low.
Look at this guy.
And one.
Right off the
box for Tristan Clark.
And that's what they need to do. Now, the first 2 plays, they turned it over. But at practice today, the emphasis was on getting the ball deep to this guy. You're talking about 6'9", 7'1" wingspan, and shooting, if you can imagine this, Mark, 92% at the rim.
And he completes the three-point play. And people may say, hey, he's close to the rim. He should shoot 90%. You know what, folks? Stand right next to the rim and try a layup and see what you shoot.
With 3 guys that are 6'7",
Yeah.
6'8", 6'9", absolutely.
That's the other part of the equation.
Good players in college basketball average about 65% at the rim. So there's a good way to put it in perspective.
3 off the back rim for Pritchard. And Vital doing what he does so well with the rebounding, brings it down for Baylor.
If you're going to deliver the ball to Tristan Clark, you have to get below the foul line.
Clark doubled, trying to fight through, comes back down with it, off the right side, and a rebound for Paul White. Here's Will Richardson, true freshman out of Georgia. White down the lane, adjusts his shot, it bounces off, and a rebound for Clark.
Good job there, verticality by Tristan Clark. Put his hands up, stayed inside that restricted arc, jumped. Dana Altman is used to having more experienced teams. This team has talent, but they haven't gelled yet.
Kegler banks it in. That's Mario Kegler, the transfer from Mississippi State. An early 3-point lead for the Bears, just about 3 minutes deep.
2 freshmen on the floor for Oregon, Richardson and King.
Vital commits the foul. Season number 9 for Dana Altman in Eugene. 627 career wins. 10th most.
10th most. He's 2 behind his mentor, Lon Kruger.
How about Lon's team? They're off to a pretty nice start as well.
They sure are.
There's Richardson on the drive, flipping it up. A couple of Bears going after it, and Vital takes it away from Clark. Mason surveys, uses a screen from Clark. Puts up a 15-footer.
Well, Arizona saw a little bit of that on Saturday night, and Makai Mason went in there and did damage with those mid-range floaters.
Well, since Oregon scored the game's first bucket, it's a 7-0 run for Baylor. Louis King denied at the rim, but fouled. Louis King, a true freshman, making his 2nd consecutive start for the Ducks.
Yeah, this young man, remember, top 10 or so in high school basketball a year ago. I think ESPN have him number 11. He tore his meniscus last January, so he's still rounding into form. He's only played a handful of games in December, but they really like his offensive ability, his versatility at the 3 and the 4 spot. And without Bol Bol right now, who's out, well, we understand indefinitely, he's got an important role to play.
Scott Drew and Bill Self are the deans of the Big 12, each in season number 16 and 302 career wins at Baylor. For Scott Drew, he is far and away the winningest coach in their program history.
It's an amazing job what he's done. One of the great rebuilding jobs in the history of college basketball. And if you don't know that, then you're not old enough to remember back in 2002 when he got here.
Go back and Google and see all that this program had to overcome. It's
remarkable.
It really is.
Yep. There's that zone now by Oregon.
Clark spinning, slipped. He called for the travel. Well, when we come back, the story about some teammates, King McClure and Jake Lindsey. That great story about friends and teammates for the holiday season when we come back.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and Miller Lite, great taste and only 96 calories.
Who am I? I'm a senior guard for Baylor. Some things you may not know about me. I was valedictorian in my high school class. I switched my number from 22 to 3 in honor of my teammate Jake Lindsey. I have a heart condition that required a defibrillator implant. Who am I? I'm King McClure.
King McClure just got his degree here at Baylor, but his roommate Jake Lindsey for the last 3 years had worn number 3. And Jake Lindsey is courtside along with Fran Fraschilla about these two great teammates.
Yep, it's great. Now, Jake, he's wearing your number 3. How did that come about?
He came to me kind of before the season, talked about, we kind of talked about playing together, looked forward to it for sort of like a couple years, and then he knew I was down about it, wanted to do something to pick me up. It kind of really meant a lot to me.
Now he told me he's always worn number 22. Yeah. Now he's wearing number 3. How weird is it to see the number 3 out there?
My mom said it was really weird at first, so at first I was like, hey, just as long as you play well and you make me look good. But he's done a great job. That first 8 games, he was terrific when we get him back on track. And honestly, I'm proud of him and I'm happy for him. I really appreciate it.
You guys came in together. You've been roommates for 4 years. Just talk about that relationship. I understand you are the godfather to his baby.
Yep.
And you're getting married soon.
Yep.
Just talk about your friendship and your relationship with King as a teammate.
I mean, anytime you live with a guy for 4 years, you get to know him really well. I mean, I was there when he had his heart deal going on and helped him through that, and he's been helping me with my hip and not getting to play. And it's just the type of relationship you kind of look for in a teammate, and gone through a lot of ups and downs on the court, off the court, and he's just a great guy, and I really appreciate having him in my life.
Let me segue. You are in a family business. Your dad is general manager of the Utah Jazz. He played here. Assess your team, the Baylor Bears, early in the season.
I mean, one thing I think we knew we were going to be playing our best basketball in February. I mean, we have a lot of new guys. Even our more experienced guys haven't played together. But we've had 5 guys score 20 points in a game. Matt's been close, and Mario's done it previously at Mississippi State. So we know there's capability, but it didn't happen in a vacuum. So these guys got to, I mean, not just these guys, our fans got to learn it. We got to get connected, and as we get connected, we'll get better shots, we'll make more shots, feel better about ourselves. and hopefully we'll start playing good basketball. And then with our league being so good, it gives us some opportunities to atone for like our early season missteps.
Well, I know you're not playing this year, but you're going to be a coach on the bench. Appreciate you being with us. We'll see you all season.
Appreciate it. Hey there, Tiger.
Jake Lindsey, who's out this season after hip surgery, and there's McClure. Well, King McClure mentioned in his Who Am I that he had a heart issue, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. He was told in June 2015 he had that heart condition and that probably his playing career was over, but just a few months later in September 2015 he had a procedure and was cleared to play and has been playing since, so great news for that, and also fun to see King McClure honoring his roommate Jake Lindsey by wearing his number 3 this year. Great story. King McClure back to the bench. That was fun, friend.
Of course, Jake, I do think Jake's going to be in basketball.
Oh, yes.
We had a great talk with him today. Pretty much sized up not only his team, but all the NBA prospects in the Big 12 for us.
It's interesting to hear him talk about evaluating other players. Here's a little floater that's up from Ami, and it's bouncing out of bounds. The one thing that I will let you know, Jake Lindsey said to us, how about this? I missed this year, and Javon Carter is not with West Virginia. He said Javon Carter was the toughest defender he ever played against, and he doesn't have the opportunity to play against a non-Javon Carter West Virginia team this year.
Well, I always enjoy talking to Jake about those type of things. A couple years ago, if you remember, Baylor went down to Atlantis, and they knocked off Louisville in a great win. Jake was a big part of that, but he told his dad, Dennis Lindsey, the GM of the Jazz, he said, this kid Donovan Mitchell's pretty good, Dad. And turned out to be pretty right.
Spot on. Well, Oregon in a big drought. They've had only 1 field goal tonight. That came about 45 seconds into the game. Tristan Clark backs down Freddie Gillespie and scores. Backs down Okoro and makes it 12-3.
I'll tell you, that was a professional move right there from Tristan Clark. He caught it. He sized up the defense, not only his man, but where the help was coming from, and then took advantage of the one-on-one isolation game. This is really well done. First of all, it's a great post feed. Watch him survey. Take a look, sees cutters. The double comes too late, and that ability to score inside, you joked about it. You know, anybody at that size should be able to score around the rim. This kid has a unique ability to put the ball in the basket in the low post. Only a sophomore.
Yeah, he has certainly blossomed this year. In their loss to Stephen F. Austin a few nights ago, had a game-high 24, didn't miss from the field, 9 and 9. Here's White trying to break the drought for the Ducks, but cannot. A 12-1 run for the Baylor Bears after Oregon had the first bucket of the game.
And Myers got to stay with the look inside. He gave up on Clark too soon. Freshman's got to know who butters his bread on this team. It's the big fella.
Clark comes out to set the screen, 2 to shoot. Clark's going to have to put it up and doesn't get it off in time. And a shot clock violation will give it to Oregon. Right now, the Ducks need to find some offense. They are just 1 of 9 from the field to begin the game.
This Baylor defense played with incredible energy in Tucson on Saturday night, and they really caused the Wildcats to struggle. Same thing tonight. In fact, Baylor did not play with that same energy against Stephen F. Austin just a 3 nights ago.
Turning, shooting, the freshman King just a little strong on the baseline. King able to get the rebound. They double him though, and he traveled. Well, Oregon without Bol Bol for the 3rd consecutive game, and as you mentioned earlier, you're taking, you know, a guy that's averaging a double-double off their roster, off their starting lineup.
Yeah, not just a double-double, 20 and 10.
Yeah.
20 points.
The leading shot blocker.
Yep.
The left foot. So no Bol Bol for the 3rd consecutive game.
You know, they did not tell us this, Oregon. My gut feeling is he may not be in uniform for a while. And then you have to wonder at what point if a guy like that is out for a while, does he not come back and play given his NBA future? And I'm only speculating because Oregon is very tight-lipped about the injury. Well, they have him inside.
But on the baseline was Pritchard. It's going to go back to Baylor. Off to a great start on the Bears with an early 9-point lead in Waco. Back in Waco, happy holidays. 12-3 Baylor. Oregon got the game's first bucket 45 seconds in, but have not picked up a field goal since.
1 for 10 from the field versus this stingy zone.
Offensive there. That's Jared Butler coming away with it. King McClure high off the top of the glass and off the backboard and out of play. Oregon ball.
Kenny Wooten's been known to block a few shots.
Yeah, he'll adjust the shot, won't he?
Yeah, he did there. To the extreme, I think. Kenny Wooten, all Pac-12 defensive team as a freshman a year ago, and certainly with Bol Bol and Wooten in the lineup, they were formidable at the back of that zone press. And there's another sloppy turnover by Baylor, really unforced by Louis King, the freshman. One thing I talked about with Dana Altman today, and I mentioned it briefly, they are recruiting great. They have 7 or 8 top 100 players on this roster. But this is not the way Dana Altman has made his chops in coaching. It's been with veteran teams at Creighton. Final Four team a couple years ago had 3 juniors on it. And this is very unaccustomed to Dana Altman to coach this many young guys who really don't know his system yet. And it's got to be frustrating. The good news is they can recruit really well at Oregon because of the Nike connection. The bad news is they're playing all these young guys that frankly don't know how to win big games yet.
At 10 combined freshman and sophomore. Right now it's a 15-1 run for Baylor. And Oregon just hasn't been able to buy a basket. No field goal in over 8.5 minutes. 3, Pritchard.
And the one thing Baylor can do is they can rebound the ball. Always has been a staple here with all the terrific big guys Scott Drew has had. You think Epe Udoh, Quincy Acey, Quincy Jones, Perry Jones, excuse me.
Joe Lul-Achuil last year.
Yeah, so many of them. Corey Jefferson.
Look at the talent that Dana Altman has lost since that Final Four team. You know, Tyler Dorsey with the Hawks now in the NBA. Dylan Brooks with Memphis. Troy Brown Jr. last year, 15th overall pick, going to the Wizards.
Well, Troy was a freshman here, and you know, give him credit. He was the 15th overall pick. Not playing very much right now, but even he wasn't good enough to win games last year. This was an NIT team a year ago.
Victor Bailey just off the mark. Here's Bailey, who's from just down the road in Austin, Texas, helping to create a turnover. Richardson. Pritchard back to Richardson. King. Man, it's like the basket's got a lid on it for Oregon right now.
Well, when Baylor plays this zone, they do a tremendous job of challenging the three-point line. So you have to be able to score inside and on the baseline. The soft spot of this defense is down in those short corners because they bring 4 defenders out.
Richardson.
You see that? They bottle up the 3.
3 out front deep, missed by Peyton Pritchard.
Do you remember, Mark, the very first shot of the game Oregon got was an 8-footer on the baseline. And that's where the weakness of this zone is because they play 4 guys out on the perimeter, much like Syracuse does. You have to be able to throw it down there and inside.
Clark rolled to the bucket. Kegler, that left-hand dribble down the lane, and he has that rejected by Wooten for Kenny Wooten, his 108th career block.
That ball has a headache right now. It hit the ground so hard. And give him credit, because Kenny Wooten kept the ball in play. He could have punched that ball 10 rows deep. Smart. Look how far out the wings are of Baylor in this defense. And that's the opening right there, down on the baseline.
This field goal drop for Oregon nearing 11 minutes. They get it down where they would like for King, but the shot clock expires.
Listen, the good news for Oregon right now is Baylor's not really stretching this lead out.
Each team has turned it over 6 times now. Oregon trying to find a solution to this zone defense from the Baylor Bears. Well, last Saturday, Baylor won in Tucson over Arizona 58-49, and that zone gave Arizona all kinds of problems. Way off the mark, the freshman Matthew Meyer with his first shot of the night.
I love that kid's moxie, I really do. But he takes bad shots right now. And you can't blame him, because in high school, he was one of 4 high major players on a team that was a great high school team in Austin, but doesn't take.
Oh, there goes the drought. Kenny Wooten says enough of that.
And Meyer's smiling, which is okay, but he's got to have a little bit of seriousness to his offensive execution. Like that, that's just not good basketball.
7th turnover for Baylor, but Oregon finally breaks the scoreless drought.
Watch this cutback, Kenny Wooten. Oh, he's rising.
On the money.
Oh my God!
There's the tap. Oh! Incredible finish.
Yeah, and Phil, I got to ask my man Sean Farnham this. If you were basketball associate commissioner for the Pac-12 right now, how do you make it better, Sean? This is not good. And I'm serious. What would you do? And I think it's cyclical, Mark. Yeah, you know what? The league's in a down cycle, and the problem is some of the great young players that come into the league are one-and-done guys. They never make an impact. You know, you guys think of Troy Brown a year ago, right? The guys at UCLA, Ball and TJ Leaf and Anubogu. So, yeah, I think right now, Mark, we're looking at a Pac-12 that may only have 1 or 2 bids.
Yeah, fellas, thanks very much. There have been a number of tough losses for the Pac-12. There's another shot clock violation committed by the Ducks. Here's some of those tough losses. Talking about that one at Santa Clara for USC, but Baylor won at Arizona, and Arizona had won 52 consecutive non-conference home games until it had been over 8 years since they lost a non-conference game.
It's a different Arizona team because of what happened a year ago with the NCAA investigation. Now they have a great recruiting class coming in, as does USC, so it's all about talent to me. And I think the talent starts with having great coaches in the league.
Vital will go to the line. Coming up Saturday, December 29th, you can catch a hoop doubleheader with in-state flavor. It starts at noon Eastern. Davidson visiting number 9 North Carolina, followed by number 19 Kentucky and Louisville, 2 on ESPN2, as well as the ESPN app.
Speaking of great coaches, you'll see 2 of them in that Davidson, North Carolina game. Roy Williams extended 8 more years at North Carolina. That'll take him into his mid-70s. Roy's still very spry, and then Bob McKillop basically has a lifetime contract at Davidson. And they have given Carolina trouble in the past.
By the way, Kenny Wooten picked up his 2nd foul for Oregon.
I said this earlier, Oregon is not out of this game because Baylor should be up about 20 right now. They have been almost as inept on the offensive end as the Ducks have proven to be so far.
Richardson trying to find White, but another turnover. Makai Mason feeding Bandu in the corner.
Yeah, they swear that Bandu can shoot the ball. He has only made 2 threes coming into tonight's game, and he needs to give them some offense.
Back into the hands of Mason with 6 to shoot. Bandu's going to have to put it up. Got it off in time. Hit the rim a couple of times, but bounces to Pritchard. Here come the Ducks.
Yeah, these are all tough shots by Baylor.
Paul White to the rim, but there he met Clark. Mason pulls up. The 15-footer is short and then going after the rebound. Foul on the floor underneath.
I mentioned Makai Mason. He's not playing with the same fervor that he's used to. Now, this is a guy, when you watch him, who's been pretty much out of action for 2 seasons. He graduated from Yale. You know the story. As a sophomore, he had 31 in the NCAA tournament. And watching him early in the year, and here's the timeline. Take a look. Sophomore year, that magnificent performance. This guy averaged 18 points a game against elite power conference competition as a sophomore. Played against Duke twice, Baylor, USC. Misses the entire junior year. Commits as a grad transfer, only plays 1 game last year. What people have to know is you cannot redshirt in the Ivy League. You only have 4 years to play 4. So he committed to Baylor 2 years ago knowing that this would be his 5th year. But he's still not 100%.
And he is the first grad transfer in Baylor hoops history. Well, he beat Baylor in the tournament. Baylor fans remember this oh too well when he couldn't miss a shot.
Well, watch how well he moves. See, this is the kind of guy that they were hoping to get, and they still may have him. I mean, it's not like he's playing poorly. He's averaging 14 points a game. But they are really looking to getting to Christmas break to give him another week or so off. He's probably as important to this team as Tristan Clark is this year for the Bears.
Well, the officials, by the way, were looking for a possible flagrant foul at that last stoppage in play. Did not see it. Here's McClure down low, and Clark able to finish it.
That started because of a good post feed by Mason. Clark went opposite to it on that pass out, and it came right back to him. That was good offense right there for Baylor. Probably the best possession of the night for Baylor.
Here's Bailey getting in the lane, got stripped. Bandu was the first to get a hand in there, and here he comes the other way with that Euro step to lay it in. Timeout, Oregon. Under 5 minutes to play in this first half, and we'll step aside for 30 seconds. Well, we're just 4 days from Christmas, and Fran, you've coached. You know what it's like to try to get your team focused when you're this close to the holidays, and maybe a little bit of break for the players.
Yeah, you can see there, it's December distractions. I was my first year at New Mexico. We went to Arizona, and they were number 2 or 3 in the country. They had a 37-game win streak. It was December 21st, and I told my team, I said, if we're ready to play, we can beat these guys because they've gone on Christmas break, and they didn't tell Coach Olson. Well, we knocked them off that night. We beat them at the buzzer in the McHale Center. Unfortunately, we had to play 2 nights later against our arch rival at home, New Mexico State. We lose the game, and man, it takes the wind out of you. And Baylor went through that this week. The win at Arizona, the loss at home, and it's all mental. And it's so important for these teams. One of these teams is going to get a win going into the Christmas holiday and feel really good about itself. The other team is going to leave here and say, man, we're still struggling. And so far, it's been Baylor not struggling.
Victor Bailey and King McClure trading threes. Speaking of that, Victor Bailey, who has possession there for Oregon. When this game's over, he's going to ride with his parents down I-35 to the Round Rock for Christmas break.
It's probably got a little over an hour. There he goes.
Feeling good. That's a 2-pointer. 5 points the last couple of trips down the floor for Oregon for Victor Bailey Jr.
Yeah, an outstanding player at McNeil High School in Round Rock. And those of you who follow the Big 12, that's the home of A.J. Abrams, the all-time 3-point leader in conference play. And Victor Bailey Jr. right behind him in the scoring column at McNeil. Tremendous athlete, good player. Played in every game last year for Dana Altman as a freshman.
Shot clock at 1. Man, both sides having issues with the shot clock violations. Each team has had multiple shot clock violations.
Well, King McClure trying to snap out of a 2-game slump, knocks it down. And then Victor Bailey, it's homecoming, knocking it down. Merry Christmas to everybody in Round Rock. I agree, Seth, and you know that this particular zone takes a little bit of IQ, and that's the problem, Mark. You know, these kids are talented. They just don't really know how to play. I'm talking about the top 100 guys.
King's shot was short. Makai Mason driving and almost got landed on. I'm going to call it a held ball with Louis King.
You think back to that Final Four team that Dana Altman had, and you had the upperclassmen like Jordan Bell, Dylan Ennis, a 50-year transfer. Boucher was a JUCO guy, an older guy. Dylan Brooks, a junior. And so, you know what? Be careful what you wish for, because they've got really good young talent. But they didn't get much out of Troy Brown, who only stuck around a year. Not that he wasn't a good player. They just didn't reap the benefits of his terrific talent. There's the baseline jumper we talked about.
Yeah, Paul White able to sink that one of the veteran players. Transfer out of Georgetown.
He's got a great story. He went to Whitney Young High School in Chicago. His high school teammates were a guy you've heard of, Jaleel Okafor, and Miles Reynolds, who's now a grad transfer at Oklahoma, doing a great job for Lon Kruger. But Whitney Young, a great high school in Chicago. It's a magnet school, and you got to be a great student to get in there. Numbers.
Bailey gives it up. Finished by Louis King.
There's that athleticism we talked about. That there's a lot of NBA scouts here tonight. They were hoping to see Bol, but they got to get a look at Lou King too, because before the injury there was some talk that he might be a one-and-done guy.
Well, Saturday, December 29th. A week from tomorrow, ESPN has the college football playoff semifinals. It starts at 4 Eastern. Number 2 Clemson, number 3 Notre Dame in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, followed by number 1 Alabama, number 4 Oklahoma in the Capital One Orange Bowl, both on ESPN as well as live on the ESPN.
All right, a little nugget for you. Okay?
What do you got?
Kyler Murray, Allen High School.
Yes.
Right out there in the outskirts of Dallas. How many high school losses did his team have?
I'm going to guess 0.
0 is correct. 1 college loss.
Now that zeroes out. That's his entire high school career.
That's right. Yep. Allen High School, a powerhouse in the state of Texas, certainly. But you know what? Ian Brooks had a great year. Remember, he was not inserted into the lineup until Game 4 or Game 3, I believe. And looks like Tua is going to be back. Surgery has gone well, and boy, that kid from Clemson.
Yeah, he had a similar story.
What a great
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, what a year. Number 1 high school quarterback, and proved to be the case.
It's a deep 3 from Mason. Drained it.
Yeah, good ball movement that time. Badu got it deep, drew the zone in, and as long as Mason doesn't have to move around a lot, he's still really effective. He gets healthy, he'll make a huge impact in Big 12 play. Man-to-man now by Baylor, so let's see what Oregon's got right here.
I haven't seen much of this defense tonight from the Bears. Under a minute to go, first half. Here goes Paul White. The call is a block.
Well, I don't know. I'd like to see that again. Now, Kip Kissinger had a great view on the baseline. Let's take a look right here. Yeah, that's a good call. He was never set. If he doesn't have 2 feet down and in front of the ball, he's not in legal guarding position. I had to explain that to like Twitterverse today because,
Slam! Francis Okoro, the freshman from Nigeria.
Love that kid. Any kid named Francis.
Yeah.
It's a guy I like. But you know, last night, and Mike Krzyzewski did not complain, but Tech took like 7 or 8, 9 charges. You just can't run people over, and those Duke guys will learn that. Nice pass.
Vital finishes.
That's what Clark does when you double team him. That's good ball movement.
Oregon can hold it for the final shot of the first half.
Sounds crazy, but Oregon's back in this game if they score here.
Well, they've had a terrible first half, Fran. They're only down a dozen points. And a chance to cut into that right here. Pritchard gonna have to put it up. King a 3 at the buzzer. A season low for first half points for the Ducks with just 16, but again, they're only down 12. 28-16 Baylor here at the break from Waco. Now, let's send you to Phil Murphy, Seth Greenberg, and Sean Farnham in the studio. Fellas. Happy holidays from Waco. We're about to start the second half. Oregon out of the Pac-12, trailing the Big 12's Baylor Bears 28-16 with Fran Fraschilla and Mark Neely. Things couldn't have gone much worse for Oregon. They shoot 29% in the first half, a season-low 16 points, but they're only down 12.
They went on a hot streak. They made 5 of their last 7. And honestly, as a coach, you say to yourself and your team, we can't play any worse, guys, so let's just come out second half and cut into this lead. On the other hand, Baylor has not taken advantage of opening the lead up, and primarily because they haven't gotten the ball to this guy as much as they've needed. 5 field goals, but this kid has proven to be this season unstoppable in the low post. Shooting, you ready for this? 79% from the field. He's got hands like catcher's mitts, and because of the double team, he's able to find the open man as well. So for Baylor, he's got to get more touches and opportunities to score in the painted area.
Oregon went about 11 minutes without a field goal at one point during the first half after starting 2 for 17, as you mentioned, hit 5 of their last 7. And Baylor had 2 points for every one in the paint for Oregon in the first half. The Ducks had the possession to begin half number 2, and off we go from Waco. Will Richardson. Here's Kenny Wooten, who got saddled with a couple of fouls in the first half. Runs into Clark and commits a travel.
Clark held his ground that time, and Wooten wanted a foul, but there wasn't anything there. Kenny Wooten, we expected him to make a big jump offensively this year. He played a lot of good minutes for Dana Altman a year ago and really got it done on the defensive end.
3 off the mark from Kegler, but a rebound after the Clark rebound. Another 3 attempt off the mark. Baylor turned it over on their first possession of the second half, their 10th turnover of the game. Will Richardson.
Watch out, Mark. I'm just telling you. Ducks got to run in them, and they got that ball to the baseline, the opening of the zone, so that's good adjustment right there by Dana Altman.
They cut it down to single digits, the deficit. It's a foul against Lewis King. Dana Altman's team, 8-3. Both these teams have lost to Texas Southern this year. That's the one common opponent.
Texas Southern Bowl. That team is coached by Johnny Jones, former LSU coach and star.
Mike Davis was there for a lot of years as well, former IU coach.
Mike left last year to go to Detroit Mercy. Johnny Jones, who was on Eric Musselman's staff at Nevada, gets the job, and he's got a good team.
Makai Mason with the shot clock winding down, hands it off to Clark, who stuffs it.
That's what Makai Mason, that's how he can make this offense really more efficient, because he has the IQ to run this team for Scott Drew. When he can get into the paint and make those kind of dump-offs, the game comes easier for everybody else. Watch that baseline now. Wooten's lurking down there.
Richardson sealed off there, finds Pritchard in the corner. 3 on the shot clock. Stripped was King.
Pick it up, Mark. That's it. Mark will have a tendency to get a little out of control there, Vital.
Mason looking for Clark, but that's well defended.
So you got to take it down to the baseline if you're going to feed the post.
Mason trying to turn the corner, bounces it down low, and with the right hand, that's Mark Vital.
You can see the impact that Makai Mason has when he's able to get into the lane, because he knows the game.
8 points for Vital. Down low, blocking foul. Going against the Bears, Clark.
We talk about big guys, but Baylor has had a point guard on the Big 12 All-Conference team for over a decade. So they're used to getting cerebral play from that spot, and that's what the grad transfer from Greenfield, Massachusetts brings to this team. You know, it's interesting. Duke and Gonzaga both made a pitch for Makai Mason before he decided over a year ago to cast his lot with the Bears. Rare that you see a grad transfer commit that soon, but he knew he was going to have that fifth year because, again, the Ivy League, you can't redshirt there.
Pritchard, down low, it's White. Well, Wooten came crashing the boards. But another empty possession for Oregon.
When Kenny Wooten gets a running start, he jumps as high as anybody. He plays on a springboard.
Mason sends Kegler towards the rim. Lots of dribbling, 6 to shoot. Mason to the corner. There's Kegler's 3. Tipped out by Clark. Vital trying to go back up. Feeds it underneath it from a tough angle. Mario Kegler drops it in.
You know, we've been jokingly in practice. I watched today. I started calling Vital Rodman. Watch Vital on the backside right here. He just keeps that ball alive. He's not a scorer. He's a great defender for a sophomore, and he's a tremendous rebounder. And that time you saw that athleticism on the backside.
And your comparison is a good one. Just look at the numbers for Vital in the Arizona game that they won last Saturday. 5 points, 17 rebounds, 9 offensive rebounds.
And you got to explain to these young guys who Dennis Rodman is. I get that. You know, Rodman, Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan, they were all pretty good in their day.
Isaiah Thomas, the first guy.
The first one, yeah. There's that zone. You got to get that ball to the baseline right there. That's good.
Pritchard looking for somewhere to go. 3 left side, missed by King. A Clark rebound. Baylor with the ball in their largest lead of the night, thanks to that 7-0 run.
No, they've been efficient. They haven't turned it over, and Mason's made some smart plays.
Back to McClure. McClure had it stripped by Pritchard. Richardson trying to get by Mason, and Vital had a hand on it, but it carried right to King. Richardson from 17 knocks it down.
That's pretty good. I like this kid. We saw him in New York. He's a young man that played at Oak Hill Academy last year. Played with guys like Kedron Johnson from Kentucky, David McCormick from Kansas. And he plays with a high IQ. Can play both the 1 and the 2, which I like. That helps Pritchard.
Kegler feeding Vital. You get Vital down low, he can find the bucket and score some points. Well, he's got 10.
Bears are showing some Vital signs right now.
Nice.
I had to work that in.
The lead is 16 for the Bears. King trying to cut into that, gets in the lane, jump stop, but foul on the floor, no basket. Timeout.
High energy, that's Mark Vital, the sophomore out of Louisiana, Lake Charles. Take a look. Strong to the rim with force.
All right, in the middle of Bowl Mania, and you can catch 4 more tomorrow afternoon and into the night. Noon, 3:30, 7 and 10:30 Eastern on ESPN, as well as the ESPN app. How about Army?
Yeah.
Doing great. Head coach Jeff Monken, after, that team was really bad for years. They're
amazing job. 3 straight wins over Navy now. Darnell Woolfolk, what a senior year that young man had. The wishbone or whatever the heck they run, but it's
that option,
option football, hard to guard.
Army took Oklahoma to overtime this year in Norman.
They sure did. I think Oklahoma had the ball for like 8 minutes out of the 60.
That's what Army can do.
Seemed that way. Nice drive right there.
7 points now for Will Richardson. All of them here in the second half. Meyer makes the wise decision to get the ball to Clark, but good defense by Kenny Wooten.
What a challenge. Now you got to know how strong Clark is. He's a big dude, and he's a finisher. Now watch Kenny Wooten. He's going to go straight up. That is perfect verticality right there. If you don't know that rule, we'll remind you, if a shot blocker is inside the restricted arc, he is entitled to go straight to the ceiling. And thank you very much, guys, in the control room, right on time. But you're not going to see anybody do that to Tristan Clark too often. That was a tremendous defensive play by Kenny Wooten.
That's good basketball.
Sure is.
Vital, by the way, has picked up his 3rd foul. Oregon down 14.
Again, you got to find ways to get it to the baseline or live with that.
Sure. Wow. Finally got one of those deep threes to go.
Yep. Bandou's got to know late in the clock that Pritchard's got enough gumption, if you will, that he's going to put that ball up. He's the veteran. You got to crowd him.
Meyer trying to give it up to Clark again, but that was a bit of a wild bounce pass.
This kid's a stallion. He's a wild stallion, and I've watched him on tape. He is not afraid of the moment. Right now, he's got to understand that he's got to be a no-mistake guy. When you're a freshman, you have to be able to have the trust of your coach that you're going to be out there for 5 minutes and not make dumb turnovers. And gradually, you grow into a bigger role.
Richardson trying to weave through traffic with a bit of a grab and a foul. Devontae Bandou. First on him. Hey, that Kansas-Arizona State. Of course, Arizona State won last year.
In Lawrence.
In Lawrence.
Yep.
They're going to get another crack at the Jayhawks this time in Tempe, and it's the Pac-12 is looking for some big wins.
It's a big game. Arizona State, to me, is the best team in the league right now. Even the loss at Vanderbilt notwithstanding. It's been, let's just face it, it's been a brutal non-conference for that league. That's a big win for Arizona State. It'll be big on their resume.
And in fairness, it hasn't been a terrific non-conference. Whoa! Getting hot. Second straight 3 for Pritchard. A 10-2 run for the Ducks to get him back to single digits.
Yeah, and if you're Bandou at the top, you got to understand that Pritchard's played in the Final Four. Look at this.
Fighting. King McClure and Richardson. The foul is on McClure.
Watch Peyton Pritchard now. This young man, he committed to Oklahoma and Lon Kruger as a junior, but he stayed close to home. That one wasn't close to home.
Who am I? I'm a junior guard at the University of Oregon. Some things you don't know about me. I like chick flicks, love stories. 2, I got a dog, Gigi. She's a pure golden retriever, little puppy. Who am I? Peyton Pritchard.
And there you see the young man from Westland, Oregon, whose mom and dad were terrific athletes at the University of Oklahoma. His mom, Melissa, was a gymnast. His father, Terry, he played wide receiver tight end for Barry Switzer. And he was supposed to be the guy catching Troy Aikman's passes. And when Troy broke his leg and then transferred to UCLA, Barry Switzer went to the running game. And Terry's Oklahoma career, he didn't catch that many passes, but great athlete. And Peyton actually committed to Lon Kruger as a junior, and then he thought better of it. He wanted to stay close to home. 3- or 4-time Player of the Year in the state of Oregon.
From Westland High School, and you saw him real early.
His sophomore year, he was scrimmaging. He was a nondescript young guy against the Hoop Summit team, the USA Hoop Summit team out in Portland. And I said, who is this guy? And once they told me he was a sophomore, got on the map quickly. Nice find inside.
Tristan Clark's a sophomore, playing like a veteran.
We're going to be talking about Tristan Clark the next 2.5 years. Because people don't know this yet, but he's one of the best young post players in this conference.
We talked about all the guards that have played here for Baylor, for Scott Drew. Here's Wooten saying, what you can do, I can do at the other end.
Yeah, nice dump off, too, by Pritchard again.
But I was going to mention the really good post players Baylor's had here throughout the years that have gone on to the league and played pro ball.
They really have. It's been, and it hasn't been All-Americans. They've done a great job of developing. I'm telling you now, I told you, Mark, Oregon was going to make a run. Baylor wasn't able to put them away with their offense in the first half.
Richardson in the corner. Down by 8. Still over 11 minutes to play. Second half from Waco. Pritchard, pass, White, got it, and here come the Ducks. Great feed by Peyton Pritchard. 5-point game.
Absolutely, that was textbook. Baylor had to defend the roll man, and so Pritchard threw a half-hook pass to the other wing.
A 15-4 run for Oregon has gotten them right back in the game. Clark trying to spin move on the baseline, and a little push that time by Wooten. He's going to get him his 3rd foul.
And Kenny Wooten getting it done in the low post right now. Watch the dime drop here by Pritchard. The throw down. There you see the find, and then Pritchard comes right back to White on the perimeter. They got to help inside. White knocks it down.
Well, Oregon has made 12 of their last 16 after they went over 11 minutes without a field goal in the first half. They were down by as many as 16. They've cut that down to 5.
And they do a good job of changing their defenses because they like to play zone. But they've done a good job tonight of mixing it up and throwing Baylor off its game a little bit.
First foul on Victor Bailey.
I don't like throwing the ball out to midcourt, man. I never liked that inbounds play. You just have to execute your offense, and you get that ball in close to the basket. You throw it out to midcourt, it's deflected, you give up an easy 2.
Mason.
Gotta go.
Didn't hit the rim. Shot clock expires, but we have a foul first.
Well,
or do we?
Let's take a look now. They have a foul and a 30-second violation. So they will go to the monitor to determine what came first.
Well, while they do that, let's take another look and listen.
It's the horn first and not the clock. Keep that in mind. That's close.
Really close.
I'd have to see that again, because remember, it's not when it's game clock. It's shot. It's clock light horn. Shot clock. It's horn first.
Well, my gut reaction seeing that replay is that the horn came just a little earlier than the foul. That's close. What do you think?
I have to see it again. I'd have to go over there with them and watch, because it is right there. It's razor thin. But again, if the violation occurs before the foul, it's no foul. Ray Natili, Kissinger.
Yeah, you and I have the TV technology with a headset on. How are they going to?
Well, they have different views now. Yeah. They have DV Sport, which means they can get as many angles as the cameras can give them.
But the audio is as important as the video here.
That's right.
And with exactly 10 minutes to play in a 5-point game, who knows? I mean, they're going to say shot clock violation.
I'm okay with that. It was very, very close. Let's go. Let's watch it again. You got to listen.
Yeah, I think it's just a hair before Pritchard reached in there.
I agree. Play ball.
So it goes Oregon's way. And here they come trying to cut into this 5-point deficit. They've been down by as many as 16. And haven't led since the early moments of the game. White thought there was some contact. He went to the ground after shooting that 3.
Nice.
Vital. White came over to swat it away, but a foul here on the near side.
Nice dime right there by Mason again. Now, Vital, the problem for Baylor, he goes to the line as a slightly better than 40% free throw shooter. What was it, 1 for 7 the other night in Tucson?
And some tough ones down the stretch against Stephen F. Austin.
You know what's interesting about his misses? This is just an observation. I've been watching him for 3 games. His misses are all deep. Now we know how good a dunker he was because Yahoo voted him middle school most impressive double. Watch his, let's see if he's long again. Almost every miss is long. There you go.
So 1 of 2 for Vital, who came in shooting just 41% from the line for the season.
And remember that down the stretch of this game, Baylor, not a good free throw shooting team, only 65%.
And Oregon has been outstanding at the line, one of the best in the nation, and tops in the Pac-12 at 76% from the line. Pritchard gets it back, shoots from 12 feet out, but was short with it. Offensive putback, that didn't hit the rim. Well, we've had more shot clock violations in this game than I think I've seen in a month combined.
One of the reasons there are is because you've got a young guy like Richardson out there who's a good shooter, and midway through that shot clock, they threw it to him, and he had a good look. And I think he's got to pull the trigger there. You can't pass up good scoring opportunities against a good defense. You put a lot of pressure on your team late in the clock. We've seen that both ways tonight. You don't have to take a quick shot, but take a good shot if it's there.
There's Jared Butler getting some minutes for Baylor.
Let's see where Clark goes with the double team.
Here's Butler. Clark all alone. He has 13.
That's the second time tonight that Clark was the recipient of his own great pass out of a double team. Really well done.
Richardson taking the shot this time, and his foul going towards the rim.
Good post players have got to handle the double team. There's the swing of the ball, and that opens up an opportunity for Butler, the freshman, to drive and dish, and he's not missing that shot. This guy makes 92% of his shots at the rim.
Clark picked up his second foul, and the free throw not there, in and out for Richardson. The lefty, Hinesville, Georgia.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind, Mark, the reason I want him to be more aggressive is they're without 20 points tonight and for the foreseeable future with no Bol. So if Richardson's going to play the off-guard spot, and he is a good shooter, he's got to be more aggressive.
There is Bol. He got that left boot on. 3rd straight game he has missed, averaging those numbers sorely missed. For the second time tonight, Wooten is about jumped out of the building.
You know what I didn't like about that play?
He went out of bounds.
He could have kept this. This is a great play. Watch this. I love it. You know what? If he took a little off his fastball, he might have kept that ball in play, but you love the effort, and he plays on a trampoline. Great timing.
Kegler. 3 by Makai Mason.
It's Mason and Pritchard right now. Pretty good matchup.
Richardson bumped by Butler and fouled. Well, the timeout, 7:41 to go. Ducks back in the game. It's a 10-point contest. Yeah, Phil, here are those 8 teams, with Furman still being one of those unbeaten at 12-0 and ranked 24th.
Got a terrific young coach, Bob Ritchie. Seth Greenberg's got some shoes older than Bob Ritchie, but that's only because Seth's got some shoes he just doesn't want to get rid of. Bob Ritchie, 35 years old, assistant coach at Furman.
If the shoe's comfortable,
now the head coach. Yeah, just shoe fits, wear it. Especially if it's from a sneaker company and you got them for free.
See the free throws, but right now Kegler driving. Offensive foul, that went in.
Yeah, that's not a good decision by Kegler. Early in his career, his decision-making is not good. You're just running a guy over right there. There's a great example of Kenny Wooten protecting the rim that time without jumping. We've seen the shot blocking. That time he just held his ground, and that's number 4 on Kegler, and just not a good decision.
I thought you were going to say that's what you saw last night, Duke and Texas Tech.
Yeah, no, and listen, you run a guy over, it's a charge, especially if he's legally guarding, and that's what I saw last night.
Richardson. Well, Pritchard got him right back in the game with a couple of threes earlier in this half.
Throw it inside.
Bailey gave Wooten a look, but now Wooten sets the screen. Some hard contact and a travel committed in the lane by Bailey.
And Bailey had the opportunity to throw it into Wooten and let him maybe make a play, maybe get double teamed. And when he drove into Wooten and Tristan Clark. And Kevin McKenna, the assistant coach, he's explaining that right now. And Bo's going to chime in too a little bit. Get it reversed. Don't drive into traffic.
14 turnovers committed by each team with 7 minutes to go.
Kevin McKenna, an outstanding player at Creighton. Now been on Dana Altman's staff since he arrived at Oregon.
Mason lets fly another 3. It's a little short. Rebounded off the floor by Pritchard. Here come the Ducks. Richardson back to Pritchard. Away from the ball. What do we have? We have a Baylor player. That's Mark Vital. The other side of the floor, he did not get up.
Take a look now. Mark Vital jumps so high. And you see him get tangled up there, and he hits hard. Now, if you're an Oregon fan and you're wondering why did the officials stop the action when Oregon had the ball 5-on-4, there's a new rule this year that allows an official, when he deems that a player is seriously hurt on either team, he can blow the whistle dead, and that's why they did it. You can see right now Mark Vital's in pain.
There's that play again. And you'll see Vital, after he comes down, grab his back. Kind of grabbed his lower back or tailbone where he came down. Vital's had a nice night tonight for Baylor. 11 points, 8 rebounds.
Well, what I love about that young man is he plays hard, and he plays with great heart, energy. Last year he was one of the best defensive players in the Big 12. And you can see a guy that throws his body around is going to get banged up a little bit, and hopefully he'll be okay.
He's still moving very gingerly. Looks like they're going to take him right to the locker room. Still kind of clutching that lower right side.
Kegler's back with 4 now, so that's important for Oregon. If they can get him a 5th foul, that will make their job a little bit easier.
So Vital goes out with 6:40 to play. Oregon with the ball down 8. Pritchard trying to cut that to 5 and does. His third 3 of the half. He has 11 points.
This team was stagnant in the first half, and Pritchard was more of a facilitator. He's taken it upon himself to score more.
Clark couldn't get it to fall as it rolled around the rim, but he'll shoot 2.
This young man at the foul line, Jared Butler, he's breaking that press really easily. He's a freshman. When we were talking to the coaching staff at Baylor today, they actually told us, Mark, you'll remember, we hope they press us when he's in the game because he's terrific in the open court. And that time we saw a good example. And he's another interesting guy. He committed to Alabama and was attending classes this summer. Alabama took a commitment from another point guard, Kira Lewis, who reclassified. He wasn't happy about it, Butler. He decided to transfer to Baylor, and the NCAA, in their infinite wisdom, allowed this young man to be eligible. even though he attended classes at Alabama this summer.
So you were talking about free throws. Baylor just missed a couple. Still a 5-point game. The freshman King shoots over King McClure, and look out, it's a one-possession game with 6 minutes to play.
And here's that pressure. Little 1-2-2 at three-quarter.
Butler almost had it over and back because of that defense and that pressure.
And they play that pressure defense, and they usually fall back to the zone. So they make you milk clock in the backcourt, shot clock wise. Look at this. Slow again.
Clark. Pass is intercepted by King. Pritchard in the lane. Over to Baylor. Nice defense underneath by Butler. Well, Saturday, December 29th, catch a college hoop doubleheader with in-state flavor. It starts at noon Eastern. Davidson visits 9th-ranked UNC, followed by number 19 Kentucky and Louisville at 2 o'clock on ESPN2 as well as the ESPN app.
That should be a fun game in the Commonwealth tomorrow. Chris Mack doing a great job in his first year. Kentucky with a bevy of high school All-Americans who have had their fits and starts. And that'll be a week from tomorrow. I'm anxious for that game.
Clark tied up by King. Loose ball grabbed by Pritchard. Oregon on a 7-0 run can tie it with a 3.
Baylor's gone man. And Pritchard, it's been his show in the second half.
Baylor's only played man a handful of possessions tonight. King had it taken away by King. McClure tied up. Possession arrow to Baylor.
I thought Louis King should have shot that jump shot. Once, look at his drive. Watch him drive into traffic. He's better off shooting that ball and allowing Wooten particularly to go backside. He and White try to rebound the miss.
Oregon timeout with 4:40 to go. They were down by as many as 16, but the Ducks within 3. A lot of that thanks to the three-point shooting of Peyton Pritchard.
Exactly. The only guy left that played in the Final Four for Dana Altman. He was a freshman back then. And moment never too big for this young guy. What a great high school career, and he's having a super career at Oregon, his home state. He's a hometown hero.
He's also the only Oregon Duck that's played against Baylor when these teams played in November of 2016 here in Waco. A 66-49 Baylor win, but they had played the year prior in Eugene. That game won by Oregon. So this is the third ever meeting between these schools, and they'll play next year in Eugene.
I'll tell you what's at stake right now. A Merry Christmas. Because you want to leave for Christmas break. Both of these teams will do that after this game with what could be a quality win. And for Oregon to go on the road and win would be even better.
Long pass over the top. Mackay trying to save it on the sideline, but couldn't. He stepped on the sideline with contact with the basketball, and a turnover gives it to Oregon. Coming back in for the Ducks is Victor Bailey. And this is as close as it's been since Baylor led 5-2 early in the game.
Vital's back on the bench, by the way, so we may still see him.
Pritchard, crossover behind the back, can't shake Kegler, and an offensive foul committed by Richardson.
Solid D right there. We've been talking about these freshmen. As long as he's got, again, he's legal. Can't run him over. You are allowed to move side to side.
Pritchard gets a breather with 4:11 to go, so you got a timeout coming up at the under 4 shortly.
So even when they don't steal it in this pressure, Mark, it takes time off the shot clock. Now Baylor's into their shot offense at 20 on the clock.
Oh, Wooten affected that. Got a hand on it. Clark lost the handle. McClure gets it back. Tried to kiss it in. Battling again. McClure is fouled. What a battle underneath. And a little bit testy underneath for Kegler. Timeout and just a three-point game in Waco.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Phillips 66, proud sponsor of Big 12 basketball, and McDonald's.
Yeah, you know what though, Phil? Now that you mention it, maybe after this game ends, it looks like it's going to be an exciting conclusion. You and I will just head down I-35, get there about halftime in Austin. Catch the second half of Providence, Texas.
Listen, I went to practice in October, and I saw Jackson Hayes. If you don't know about him,
great player.
6'11", 7'4" wingspan. He averaged 6 minutes a game as a high school junior at Cincinnati Moeller. And he got better, and he's got great genes. Dad wasn't a bad athlete, Jonathan Hayes, but his mom was the great athlete in the family. She was a star at Drake. Jackson Hayes looking like he's going to be a one-and-done guy.
Lead back to 5 for Baylor. Louis King, the freshman, kicks it out. The three ball's been good in this half for Peyton Pritchard.
How good has he been? Wow. And you know, he needed to do this because he was trying to get his teammates involved in the first half, and that was not working.
Lead down to 2. Mason. Wooten says, nah, you can't do that. That ain't going to work.
You got to chase this guy off the line now. And you don't help on a guy who's not going to shoot the jumper. See, that's Butler. That's a freshman. You don't guard Louis King when you're guarding Peyton Pritchard. Stay home on the most dangerous player. Freshman mistake.
Mason from 12. Got it. Boy, Wooten fell hard to the floor. A little slow getting up. Under the 3-minute mark in a 4-point game now.
My advice to Baylor, don't let Pritchard beat you.
King faces up on Mason. He shoots over him. Off the back rim. And a Baylor rebound.
Back to the zone, so you got to get good ball movement. They're showing man, but it's a matchup zone, so don't be tricked.
Butler was looking to feed Clark. And then a foul on the floor is Kegler, who's playing with 4 fouls. Over on ESPN later tonight, following all the NBA action, catch SportsCenter with Stan and Neil and have all the post-game reactions from the Staples Center. Plus, highlights from the Big Bucks Celtics matchup. And what does today's Dodger trade mean to Bryce Harper, that big LA Cincinnati trade today? SportsCenter after the NBA on ESPN as well as the ESPN app. Kegler going to the line.
Remember, this team 291 in the country in free throws.
This is after the 10th team foul, so Baylor's in the double bonus. Kegler, that was only his 15th free throw attempt of the season. And he splits the pair 1 and 2. 5-point game. Pac-12, Big 12 matchup in Waco. 4 days before Christmas. It's turned into a good one.
Nice.
Three. That one's short. He hit 4 threes in this half.
Oh, they set up a flare screen that Butler wasn't ready for. And luckily, Pritchard didn't knock it down.
About a minute and a half to go. Oregon down 5, wanting to stop here.
He should go soon. Gotta go.
Mason floating it up and scores off the glass. He has a dozen. Paul White. Well, long. Rebounded on the offside by McClure.
Got to think about fouling now. I wouldn't let Baylor run clock. And I wouldn't shoot it if I were the freshman.
Butler takes it to the rim.
Yeah, that's why he's a freshman. That's why I'm over here.
And boom, all of a sudden the lead is back to 9. It stays 9 on the miss by Pritchard. They fouled Kegler with 47 seconds left.
Watch this play. They act like they're going to set a screen. I call this a ghost screen. You see the teammate disappear? That allows Mason to drive to the basket into an empty post. I love that because everybody runs ball screen in that situation. That time they faked ball screen and they allowed Mason to drive into the empty post.
And Fran, you know what was so impressive about that shot? Wooten, who's been jumping out of the building, jumped as high as he could, but Mason still got it over.
He has that ability, and you watched that Arizona game with me, and he made those shots over the Arizona defense.
So here's Baylor, who wanted Arizona, but then inexplicably lost a few nights ago here to Stephen F. Austin, trying to bounce back with a win over Oregon. An 8-0 run for Baylor. Richardson stripped, but it went right into the hands, fortunately for Oregon, of Victor Bailey. Timeout, Ducks with 37 seconds to go. So a 3-possession game right now with 37 seconds left for the Ducks, who fell down by as many as 16. In fact, they only scored 16 points in the first half. It was that kind of poor start for Oregon. They were able to almost completely dig out of that hole.
Well, and it was Peyton Pritchard's offense, his deep shooting, without a question. And you're watching Dana Altman coach his team now. He had, at times in that run, 2 freshmen and a sophomore out there. Sometimes 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores. And these are going to be the growing pains for an Oregon team that right now is without another freshman, Bol. And in talking to Dana Altman today, I know that there's going to be some frustration because he's such a great tactical coach, but tactics are not the most important thing when you're teaching a young team how to play. It's about playing hard, playing together. Now it's got to be a quick gamble for a steal and a foul.
McClure, White guards the inbounds pass into Mason, who's bumped and fouled by White. Makai Mason has had a nice second half of his own.
This young man is the first grad transfer that Scott Drew has ever taken, and turnabout is fair play because he dropped 31 on Baylor in the NCAA tournament for the Yale Bulldogs and decided he was going to spend his graduate year here in Waco, long way from Massachusetts, but you can see the difference he makes in his team, a team that's a young team that needs this kind of leadership.
Well, White just fouled out for Oregon. Second time he's fouled out of a game this year. Makai Mason makes it a 10-point lead with 35 seconds left. 14 points for Mason. Long 3, Pritchard around and out. It's an Oregon team that a week from tomorrow plays Boise State and then opens up conference play against Oregon State after that. Baylor will have New Orleans a week from Saturday and then open up conference play at TCU January 5th, and they get a big win over a Pac-12 team tonight.
Oh, good win for Baylor going into Christmas break. The eggnog will taste pretty good in Waco.
Baylor led by as many as 16. That was cut down to 2 by Oregon, but Baylor wins it by 10, 57-47. Providence, Texas, just around the corner from Austin. Well, that's going to take care of things from here in Waco. For Fran Fraschilla and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Mark Neely. What a game in Waco. Let's send you to the studio. Phil Murphy, and so long from the Lone Star State.